So, Jason, are we rolling tape?
We are rolling.
Hey, man, I got to tell you something. I did something yesterday. I have a tendency of doing things like just out of the blue.
Not you.
And the thing about it, it's nutty because when I get this certain feeling, I've recognized it. And I know that even though it's something that I haven't done, excuse me, it's something that I haven't done in 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
There's a little voice inside of me. I told you I'm writing this book, Dancing with Death, in search of the villain, which is my other voice. Other voices in my head.
You save money on casting that way.
Yeah. This is a very good point. I'm very conservative that way. Anyway, I told you about this guy that's on tour. He's a tribute band for Queen.
Yeah.
And I haven't been to a concert since Elton John I think that was around the 80s, maybe early 90s. So last time I went to a concert.
That's a minute.
And I could not see myself until I met this guy on this Gary Mullen doing this tribute band. And Freddie Mercury, of course, he was with Queen. Mm-hmm. And a little voice told me that you're going to go to a concert.
Wow. And
I'm thinking, I'm having that conversation with myself. Nah, come on, man. You don't like being around that many people.
Yeah.
And then to go down to L.A. to go to this concert. Come on.
It's meant to be, dude. You got to do it.
Well, yesterday I reached out to the guy and I said, hey, I want to go to your show. Mm-hmm. And all the while I'm doing this, I'm going, what am I doing? What am I doing?
I don't do this.
I don't have, yeah. And he goes, and I said, I want to go to your show. I'm going to get really good seats. And so what does that look like for me? His next response was, I'll have 2 tickets for you at will call.
There it is.
Holy shit.
You're invested now.
And I want to go.
That's awesome.
What's going on? Dude, yeah.
Is this like a midlife crisis?
I've had a few of them. I've had 2 or 3 of them. But it's I don't know if you get like this. I just know that a lot of the times it's just a passing thought. Mm-hmm. You know, it'd be nice to go. And I'm not going to go.
Yeah.
But then there's a little voice that's back there that I've caught onto. And then all of a sudden it's like that voice gets bigger and bigger, taking up more space in my brain.
Yeah.
And the next thing I know, I'm asking this guy, and I'm going to go to his show February the 25th. I'm going to get in a site. Ask for Zelda, my tour manager. She'll get you right into the backstage. How about that?
Dang, VIP.
VIP, baby.
Dude, that's exciting.
I'm looking forward to it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Anyway.
That's awesome.
I thought I'd share that with you. You're my new go-to for sharing.
Yeah, please, just unload. Yeah.
All right. Anyway, here we go. Welcome to Straight Talk, people. It is time once again. So, what are we going to talk about today? How about if we start with fixing your problem at the root? It's very important to do that. You know, in exercise and nutrition, what I've learned is this. You can, if you don't fix things at the root of the problem, and this doesn't matter what it is. If you don't fix whatever problem you're having at the root, do you possibly think that you're going to fix the problem for very long? Because you're not. You're fooling yourself. And that happens to most people. And they get on this roller coaster ride, and very disappointing. The whole host of things that happen when you get on these rides like this. So you got to fix it at the root. And listen, and the best way to do that is you can do it by accessing your inner mechanisms of your body. And by what I mean by that is accessing your physiology and your metabolism. That is where the secret is, right there. And most of you won't believe it until you actually go through what I'm talking about. And it only takes 2 weeks. 2 weeks. All you have to do in those 2 weeks is go on I call lockdown program. It's a 24-week program, but the magic happens in the first 2 weeks. So here's what happens, just so you understand the why. In those first 2 weeks, we aggressively restrict calories and water. Well, water we actually manipulate up and down, but we restrict caloric intake to the point that we put you in fight or flight. Very important to go into fight or flight. Now, in this case, fight or flight is not dangerous. If you stayed on it for, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, that's a different animal. We're not talking about that. So it's got to be done in a very, very unique way. So in the first 2 weeks, we are putting you into fight or flight. We are fundamentally changing your metabolism and your physiology back to what it was when you were younger. I mean, way younger. I know this from firsthand experience. I'm telling you guys. And when you do this for 2 weeks, so if you can wrap your head around that, if you can get to the first 2 weeks, and you'll be surprised that it's easier than you might think. Because I don't like to paint a rosy picture necessarily. I like to paint one that's more accurate, more real, because that's who I am. I straight talk you. I don't want to sugarcoat this thing, but I will tell you, most of the people that do try this, they say, it wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be, because your body knows how to protect you. When you go into that fight or flight mode, you'll get protection that you didn't know about. That's the cool thing. So anyway, that's fixing things now at the root of the problem. Do you see that? Now, when you do that, your body is, when you access these inner mechanisms, all of a sudden, all your mechanisms are on high alert. Everything's on high alert now. Everything is working. Layman terms, now your body is working like it did when you were younger. Now, when you are that person or that athlete, that person that's got a sluggish metabolism, now all of a sudden when you do exercise and when you do something nutritionally, you won't be like most people with their frustration when they say, I did all this work and I just didn't get what I thought I was going to get. All this work, but very little progress. That's a real frustration. And I understand why so many people quit, because they think they should be getting more from their program, and they should. But just because you go out and exercise more or, do more cardio, if you don't do it in a way that you're fixing the root of the problem, I mean, it helps when you are doing exercise and eat clean. That all helps. No question about that. But in that case, you're not, in that scenario, you're not fixing what's at the root of the problem. Fix your metabolism, fix your physiology. You do it within 2 weeks. You'll be shocked how your body functions. This applies to athletes who are trying to put on more muscle, more strength, more endurance. When you're trying to lose the right kind of weight, I mean, it's like when you were 20. Most of us, when we were 20 years of age, it was easy for us to drop weight in most cases. It was easy to stay in shape. But as we know, as we're getting older, because we're losing a little bit of muscle along the way, guys, especially after the age of 30, you start losing testosterone. It becomes a nightmare. We're all frustrated. The good news is it doesn't have to be that way. Fix this at the root of the problem. Come check it out on my website, leocostajr.com. First page, where it says lose weight. It'll give you all kinds of information on lockdown. It has two different features. We have one side of the lockdown is for those who have a lot of extra fat to lose. And by the way, this 24-week program is designed to target fat. Unlike the quick fix or the fad diets that you're going on that do not do that. They can't. They're not designed that way. They're designed just to drop a bunch of weight, which means you're going to drop a bunch of muscle weight. I've talked about this before. I got to talk about it again. It's very important. If I told you that your diet that you're going on is going to get you in worse shape, what would you say to that? And yet you're doing that. For those of you who are on a quick fix or a fad diet, that diet's going to get you in worse shape for the simple reason that you're losing too much muscle weight. Look, in a very best case scenario, 25%, 20 to 25%, this is the best case scenario. You're on a bodybuilding type of diet. You're eating enough protein. You're doing it in just such a way. Even in that scenario, 20% of the weight that you're losing is going to be from muscle. So you can imagine the person that's out there that's just doing an average diet, like these quick fix diets, they're losing as much as up to 50% muscle weight. Why is that important? Muscle is the most metabolically active or tissue on your body. Muscle and protein. Your body is made of protein, but it's the most metabolically active. You want that heat there. When you have your protein intake as such and everything else is on point, what you're doing is with more muscle, it generates heat. So think of it this way, like a thermostat. When you're losing muscle, you're losing heat. When you're losing heat, you are getting immediately in worse shape. That's the reason why so many people look like they're skinny fat. They look like they're ill. They look, in some cases, they look fragile because they've lost the wrong kind of weight. Okay, that's for that side. So that feature was it's the lockdown weight loss feature. On the other side, we have the lockdown metabolic boost, another feature. Because as I said, our metabolisms, by our own nature and the way we age, we're declining slowly. And of course, it speeds up as we get older. So all of us need a metabolic boost. Lockdown system addresses both of those areas. You need to check it out. No one fails. Anybody that follows this program to the nth degree, to the letter, no one has failed. We got a lot of people. I just signed up 3 more people just a couple days ago. It's catching on. All right. Fix the root of the problem. Make sure that when you do that, it'll automatically improve everything that you do with exercise and nutrition. All right. Let's talk about overcoming the terrorist within you. We all have it. We're all kind of a Jekyll and Hyde human being at times. You know, you've got 2 different voices, maybe 3, some of you, but you've got voices in your head. That's what I'm talking about, that are impacting and influencing you. And how do you deal with that? The terrorist that's within us, the villain, I call them, they're always trying to put you in a situation where you're self-sabotaging. So how do we get over that? How do we deal with that terrorist, that villain that's always in our head, giving us bad information? Because you know what? The mind is what is the sort of the control tower of all of us. And what's going on in your mind is your body follows. So think about that. And if you're worried about, being overwhelmed by certain things, we talked about this before. Again, I got to talk about this. Should talk about it every time that we come on this program, because it's about tools that I'm trying to provide you. And one of the things that we talk about is you want to make sure that you compartmentalize your life. You want to make sure that you win, and you win every day. Keep every day separate. Of course, the one day turns into the other, and so on. But break it down that you're only dealing with that particular day in front of you. Deal with Monday, and then deal with Tuesday, and so forth. And whatever issue that you have, if that terrorist is within you and taking up space in your head, address it head on. Bring it on. It's one of the ways that I minimize the terrorist inside of me, because life has a tendency of coming at you, and it seems like sometimes you just can't get a break. It doesn't matter if you can't get a break. Forget about that. Don't be a victim. Bring it on. Bring it on. And deal with that in that moment, in that particular day. Move on to the next day. What's going to happen is, like what I do, I like to, I'm an former athlete and still a bodybuilding athlete. And I like to keep score. I make it a game, because it is a game. Life is a game. It's a big, dangerous game. It's still a game. So I like to keep score. And I always ask myself at the end of the day, because you know what? If you're giving it all that you got, and that's not an easy thing to do, but if you're giving it all that you have on a day-to-day basis, it's going to build discipline. And all you can do is do your ultimate best. At the end of the day, I ask myself, did I win today or did I lose? Hey, look, losing is not a bad thing. In fact, I think losing, because there's adversity there, you're going to learn more from adversity and losing than you will from winning, to be honest with you. But it does feel good to win. So I ask myself, did I win today or did I lose today? If I lost today, I just say, you know what? I lost. It's over. Tomorrow's a new day. As my mom used to say, tomorrow's going to look a lot different. Go to sleep, wake up, and you'll see. It looks a lot different. And you go back to that next day and you try to win that day. That's all you can do. If you do things like this, you'll see that the sense of feeling overwhelmed will go away. It's amazing how that works. The fact that you're addressing your terrorist, your obstacle, call it what you want, it minimizes that villain inside you. And all of a sudden it looks different. That perspective of that looks different. Guess what? You will start finding that you're going to start winning more often. And even when you lose, it's not going to be a bad thing. So winning or losing is not a good thing or a bad thing. If you can get to that point, that starts taking some of that emotion out. Your life is going to be lived seamlessly and productive. Does it get better than that? All right, let's move on to something else I think that's very important now. As it relates to exercise, I can tell you from being a personal trainer in the industry now, well, I don't do a lot of it now, but being in the industry for 40 plus years, so many people butcher exercises. They just do them wrong. They make a lot of mistakes. And one of the things that I've always tried to do is I've been doing these Instagram posts, if you guys are following me, where I'm talking about making nutrition simple and also making weight training simple. But there has to be a formula, a framework that you use every single time. Because if you do that, now that's how you create a formula. As long as it works, and what I'm going to tell you is going to work, okay? As it relates to exercise, here are the important things that you must know. There are 4 points of interest in how you should set up an exercise for yourself. As many as 4 points, okay? Doesn't matter what the exercise is. You follow the same formula in the order by which I'm telling you, and it's going to minimize or eliminate you making a mistake. What a beautiful thing. You're already ahead of the ball game. So the 4 points are this. When you're setting up an exercise, the first thing that you want to do is make sure that you're setting your feet. What do I mean by that? I mean that you're either going to take a narrow stance with your feet, you're going to take a wide stance, you're going to turn your toes in, out, whatever that stance is, you start from the ground up. You build and set up your exercise from the ground up every single time, not from the top down, from the ground up. Set your feet. The next thing that you do, you're going to set your hands. What grip is it going to be? Is it going to be an overhand grip? Is it going to be a wide grip? Is it going to be an underhand grip? Those are all different ways that you possibly will grab a bar, for example. Set your hands. Okay, so we've now set our feet. We've set our hands. Now, there's a starting point and a finish point in an exercise. Always know what the starting point is. And then you know where the finish point is. You follow those are the 4 points of interest and the framework and the template that you should use when you're setting up your program. If you do that, I promise you'll be ahead of the game immediately. All right, look, that's all I got today for you guys. So thank you for tuning in, and I really hope to see you on the next episode of Straight Talk.